been to the clubs. You've done Kill Tony. You got to go get the other experience now, right?
There used to be, I never did it, but there's a laundromat comedy show.
That's a great idea.
Hey, I smell a tour.
You know?
Brought to you by Tide Pods.
We could run a successful business doing
A Tide
this.
Pod tour. That's
I like
it.
it.
The
Tide Pod tour. Oh my gosh, that is brilliant.
Tide, get on this. We need Tide to sponsor this thing. Come on.
Yes, please.
This podcast is not financial advice. It is for entertainment purposes only. Get ready to laugh your assets off because this is the Lighter Side of Finance podcast. Now here's your host, Billy C.
It's the Lighter Side of Finance, and we are back once again. This is the program where we know absolutely nothing about finance. No, that's why we bring on our experts, but it is a unique blend of finance and comedy. That's what we do here on the Lighter Side of Finance. And we have our panelists here with us once again. Tara Jean O'Brien is here with us. And Tara, I know that you've got a lot going on in your world. I was actually, call me a creep or whatever you want to call it. I do check out all of our panelists' social media from time to time, and I love to see just the live cuts, because I think that's when comedy is at its truest form, is that live on stage. So love to see that. And I loved a bit that I saw on one of your TikToks about a really expensive rug.
Yeah, I do. It's a good crowd work, Mike. I just was like, so somebody was like, they bought a rug for $2,500. Like, who would, like, why would you? So I thought, like, well, what is it made out of? Cocaine, right? Like, I don't. It's like, what else would you? Why would a rug be $2,500? I don't know. Maybe I'm very poor and cheap.
I don't know. My wife loves, any type of area rug. She's always trying to get area rugs in the house. I'm not a huge fan of them, but, and especially I would definitely not be a fan of one costing $2,500.
Yeah, that's like a take your shoes off before you come in type of rug, right?
I mean, you better not touch that rug.
Yeah, like you're not even you don't walk. It's like grass that's so good you don't walk on the grass.
Absolutely.
I'm hanging that rug on a wall somewhere.
I was going to say, it's not really meant.
Yeah, that's art. That's art at that point. Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah. That's not flooring.
You don't even dry clean it. That's how expensive it is.
You just don't get it dirty.
I barely want you to look at it. Like, why?
Like
look at it.
And Clem Jameson, you just recently had a big show that you produced with Quick Draw. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, Quick Draw Comedy. For the last 2 years, Quick Draw Comedy has been in some of the worst dive bars in the country. And we finally made it to a club stage. So yeah, we was at the Backline Comedy Theater in Omaha, Nebraska last Friday night. The show went great. The crowd was great. Everything just went great. The comics were great. Everybody had a good time. And finally, we're out of the dive bars until Sunday, when we went back to the dive bars and did it all over again. So we're back to the dive bars for now. But eventually, maybe we'll get to another club. We're looking for clubs if anybody out there has a club. Just saying.
Absolutely.
So you got back to your roots, right?
Yeah.
Good. And speaking of big shows, I think somebody has a big announcement to make, to mention that he was on some little known show, something about killing Tony or something along those. JP Lambiase, tell us about Kill Tony.
I'll give you my 1 minute right now. No, I'm just kidding. It was 13 weeks of grinding outside on the streets of 36th Street of Austin. And I think it's like when you least expect it. I basically was telling myself, I don't have the will to do this anymore. Like, I do not want to wait out here for 7 hours. And the comics keep coming and going. I don't even know anyone anymore. So I did a really stupid thing. This is completely behind the scenes. I haven't told anyone this yet. But I decided to just drink a bunch of tequila and say, screw it, I'm not going to get picked. But every other week, I was like a job interview. I had my briefcase and my suit and my notes, and I was ready to go. And today I was like, screw it. And then like mid-shot of tequila.
Make some noise for your next comedian. 60 seconds uninterrupted for JP Lambiase, everybody. JP Lambiase.
So I like.
I don't know if you guys can tell from the lights, but I'm Italian.
You're really Italian?
I'm a New Yorker, yeah. I was actually raised very Italian. Hey, what up, huh?
Whoa, get a test.
And before we move on, I just want to say, Clem, not to do some networking, but if you ever want me to come to Omaha and hit up your dive bar or club, I'm gonna be doing more traveling now that I'm done with the Tonys.
Yeah, I'm going to save you for a dive bar show. How about that?
Yes, yeah. I mean, gotta start low. We gotta start at the ground up. You know what I mean? That's where we start.
Yeah, I mean, you've been to the clubs, you've done Kill Tony. You got to go get the other experience now, right? Get you out to your roots.
I've done clothing. I've done clothing stores before. Like, someone threw a show at like a boutique.
There used to be. I never did it, but there's a laundromat comedy show here in LA.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
we're going to get Quick Draw into a laundromat in the next few weeks. That's going to be amazing.
You haven't really made it until you're next to a dryer, and it's like
somebody drops a bunch of quarters.
Comedy.
You know, the dive bar we're at, we normally get heckled by a microwave that like dings in the back for some drink heating things up. So
That would be, I know of some really nice laundromats here on the East Coast, even that would work well at.
Oh, really, Bill? You frequent a lot of laundromats.
Yeah, we could be bookers, the laundromat bookers.
Hey, I smell a tour.
You know?
Lighter Side of Finance does the best laundromats in the country.
Brought to you by Tide Pods.
We could run a successful business doing this.
Tide Pod Tour. That's
like
it.
The Tide Pod Tour. Oh my gosh, that is brilliant.
Tide, get on this. We need Tide to sponsor this thing. Come on.
Yes, please. Oh my God, they would too, because you would influence people to go to these laundromats. You have the perfect sponsor. I think this is a business. I'm excited.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll try anything.
And especially as we talk about maybe starting the Tide Pod Tour, as we talked about, which leads us right into our topic of today's show, which is we are talking about understanding companies and businesses. And so, JP, I know that you've had some experience maybe with a business or two. What do you think of when we use the term successful business or business comes to mind? What comes to mind for you?
I mean, well, successful would be a profit in the most basic of terms. I think there's other layers of success, such as like your trajectory, like the world changes. So you want to have a business that could potentially grow. And then also you would want a good foundation of honesty, ethics, and leadership.
In other words, none of us here.
I don't like how much JP smiled when he said that. That seemed a little
because that's the perfect, not every, I mean, I've worked for corporate, I've worked for myself, and there's a lot, the higher up you get, I don't want to sound cynical or jaded, but there's like a lot of, not so ethical stuff going on. I don't partake in that. I just have been witness to some, and people like to, that's why there's laws to prevent the harm of stuff like that.
Right. And now when it comes to a business failing, Clem, what do you think are the main reasons why a business might fail?
Tornadoes. I'm in Nebraska, though. I don't think that's the case for the rest of the country. But no, I've been in business now for 24 years myself, and I've seen several businesses around me fail. And I'll be honest, most of the time, what I see as being the big failure of the businesses around me is loss of vision by the leadership in one way or another. Whether it be, a father passes away and passes the leadership of the business down to his son, who just completely runs it into the ground. In some cases, I've seen a couple guys come in with big ambitions for things outside of their normal market that just doesn't work. And, for the most part, other than tornadoes, I would say that it's probably a lack of leadership or vision in leadership is what I've seen.
And Tara, if you started a business today, now, of course, we already had kind of talked a little bit about this, but what would it be and what would you think would be successful?
I mean, aside from the Tide Pod Tour, which is, I think, a gold medal. I mean, that is I thought about this because I was like, okay, if I started a business, what would I want? I would want to make money in my sleep, right? And I feel like I should do something that I already know I'm good at. And I already know I'm good at this because I'm married. But I think those two things would be, I should open a prison. right? It's like, I know, I get it. I get the concept, right? And those places make so much money. Prisons make so much money. But mine would be like cute and like it would have wallpaper and cats. But I mean,
And a wing for JP.
he could have a lot. He could have more than I'd name a wing after him. That's what I
I just don't know how prisons make. Is it all funded through our taxes? How do prisons make money?
There's private prisons. Like there's so many private, like maybe I just saw like a bunch of, like I think that John Oliver did this, but like prisons, first of all, there's privately funded prisons and they make an absurd amount of money and we should all be mad at it. But if I open one, again, mine would be nicer.
Is it more like a retirement home or is it going to be like a prison?
Let's look at it the way you want to look at it. Grandma and Grandpa got to go somewhere.
I would still exploit the prisoners if I had one. I mean, that's where the real
right.
money's at. It's exploiting the prisoners, commissary, making them pay $10 for a Snickers bar, that type thing.
I mean, or I would rent like a power bar of some sort, and then I'd want somebody to buy me out. Right.
I would have them just do labor for my business. I would just have all the prisoners just be free labor. Maybe
this is why we'd be great partners, JP.
They'll make rugs. They'll make $2,500 rugs. That's what they'll do.
And we've come full circle.
Tied it up.
Yes. Now, our guest this week, hopefully he can definitely shed some light on some of this for us. And he has worked as a financial analyst in private equity and mergers and acquisitions. Our guest this week is Gilbert Lawand. Did I get that right? You can unmute your mic.
That was close. That was actually closer than most. It's Lawand, but you're close.
Lawand. Okay.
A lot of times you say Lawand, but you're somewhere in between.
Well,
so that's acceptable.
Sounds more regal. Lawand.
Lawand. Or French. Lawand. Yeah, for-profit prisons do exactly everything you just said. They exploit prisoners, make rugs, and they already do all that stuff, which is pretty crazy.
So Gilbert, when you're looking at a company, what do you look at to determine if it will be successful? Like if Tara starts this private prison or the Power Bar Company, either one I think have potential. But what will make it successful? What determines that?
I mean, basically what JP said is like every company is, at the end of the day, it's supposed to make a profit. So to make it successful, they should be able to either pay their bills and show a profit, or have adequate financing toward a goal of future profitability. Like, to make it a successful company, basically, and it depends on how you define success, right? I mean, Monsanto makes profit, but I'm not sure how many people, it depends on what you'd consider successful, right? So
you touched on a definitely something that we don't necessarily have in abundance here is enough capital to get that business to be successful.
Yeah, you definitely, and I'm probably you definitely have to have capital, and a lot of times it's sometimes it's the capital that like relieves companies of their duties. So if you need money and you can't find it anywhere, an investor or financing, it might, unless you're one of the stories where it's like, I knew and nobody else knew, and I finally found money. Otherwise, it's a lot of times it's a lot of betting where like, yeah, you're probably not going in the right direction.
Well, with this, we keep hearing about businesses that are losing millions of dollars, but are considered still good companies. I mean, how do you determine good even though they're losing?
It depends on every company's valued at its future earnings. So if you don't have earnings now, then that means there's going to be, earnings down the road that warrant the company being a good company or a valuable company. Those are usually like high tech companies that have like a certain technology that's very valuable that they haven't made, haven't translated to an economically viable product or business yet. Like an example would be like the .com, remember the bubble where it's like pets.com, they're selling food online. And everybody's like, wow, that's crazy. You can do that. And then the following week, everybody's doing that. So they're like, losing millions, but with no real, comparative advantage of anything. So it just crowds the market. So a company that's losing money, that still can be a good company in the sense that like it has huge prospects in the future. And that usually almost always has to do with some kind of comparative advantage, usually technology, or a process or some kind of patent or, or a growth sector, AI or quantum computing. I mean, none of the quantum computing companies are going to have any profit really, but when they do have profit eventually, we're all gonna, we're not gonna need us for this podcast anymore. It's gonna just be clones, AI people that know everything. So that I mean, basically, it's just like a company has to eventually have earnings or potential. They can have losses now, and if they have prospects in the future.
I actually am a clone. So
you are a clone?
Not sure about JP and Tara, but I am a clone. So
Yeah.
no.
I can't wait till AI takes over the stand-up comedy world. It's going to be funny. Like I imagine a AI crowd work person who just knows everything about everybody in the crowd already.
It's not going to be pretty. I'll tell you.
No, it's not. It's not. The first week will be funny, and then we're like, oh, so this is how it's going to be. Okay. It's like, hey, let's just
think about it, being able to deliver the same joke the same exact way every single time.
Or process information immediately, like, oh, hey, this is Jenny over here. She hadn't filed her taxes in 2 years. Let's talk about that, Jenny. How do you know that? I know everything.
He knows too much. He knows too much.
So
I'm not going to those.
Yeah,
I'm not going to those shows.
No.
Yeah,
probably a good idea, JP.
I think
from what we know about you probably shouldn't.
Yeah, I don't need the T1000 scanning my like.
Yeah, it won't be kill Tony. It'll be kill everyone.
Doing a background check on me.
Yeah.
What was that Tom Cruise movie?
Top Gun.
Oh, Edge of Tomorrow, where he keeps dying.
Yeah.
No, the one where he ends up implanting.
Minority
Report.
Minority Report. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Oh, is it?
And as soon as he walks into the store, it recognizes him.
So good. It's a great sci-fi flick.
I didn't watch it because I thought it was about minorities report. So I was like, I don't want to watch that.
No, not that minority.
I'm already on the reports.
We'll be back with more from our panelists after this. Now it's time for the scam of the week with an actual British person. Here's Gareth P. Morris.
Gareth P. Morris here from Britain. Now, I want to make sure that you're keeping your finances safe and you're being frugal with your money. So you want to make sure you go to the right holiday destinations to suit you. In that instance, have you ever considered the UK? Do you enjoy rain, grey skies and a constant depression? Well, this place is definitely for you. You can't see the Queen anymore, she's past her best, and our economy is headed straight to the toilet. But I've done the maths, and our pints are around 50 cents less than over your side of the pond. So, every cloud, I guess. To be honest, I just stay in America. Go to Ohio or something, I hear that's nice. Maybe? Not sure. I've been a British person. Good day.
Thank you, Gareth. Now let's get back to the lighter side of finance.
We talk about business, we can have large businesses, small business, whatever the case may be. And, we hear the terms private company, public company. What is the difference between a private and a public company?
I mean, basically, like a public company is what you think about with the stock market. It's a company that at one point was private, and so that they transitioned into public company when there's different reasons. Usually, they want to raise capital, and the big difference is like the ownership. The stakeholders. In a public company, it's a wide range of whoever wants to buy shares in a company, like think Coca-Cola, Disney, whatever. They all have, they have a huge breadth of owners, and they're publicly traded, meaning that they have a liquidity value. So you can sell your share of this company, depending on what market it is, pretty seamlessly, pretty easily. Whereas a private company is what we think about like a small business. They can be big businesses, huge businesses, but they have a close knit of ownership that's not public.
Well, I have a question so like Boeing, right? Like this is a big story, right? Where Boeing is like not making great planes for us. If they were private, would we find out about this stuff?
Yeah, that's a good question because
fatalities.
Well, the crashes they would, but you mean like the real, ins and outs of why?
Yeah, like because now they're investigating. Like everybody's up their butt. Like people are going and investigating. Like, oh, just kidding. They don't like to use screws. Like that's a problem.
We're saving money 2 screws per plane, and they're very vital screws, and we get screwed.
Lots of duct.
But it's a good question because, like, I didn't mention this before, but another part of it is when you get to a certain size of company, you still there's some public information that kicks in that you have to provide. Like you can't become like a gigantic company just because you're private. You don't have it. Once you get, I forgot what the threshold is, but once you get a certain level of like debt and equity, then you start having to do quarterly filings with some information. It's not quite as much as public companies, but if Delta Boeing was a private company, then I think a lot of the same stuff would happen. I think the only difference maybe is they probably would be able to go after the perpetrators easier. I mean, that's just my guess or contention. I mean,
But they would get in trouble faster if they were private, basically.
yeah, well, I don't know faster, but probably because, like, a lot of times the government's like, hey, why aren't you public so we can already have to harass you more? So we're gonna go ahead and go, like, you know what I mean? Like when it comes, like, these are very generalized statements, but I always feel like, what's the government more like? I do taxes for a group of people, and when they owe taxes and they're like, oh, is it late? It's like it can be late forever. As far as the government cares, if you're owed taxes, they're just like, oh, well, it's okay. You can send that in whenever you want. So it's like when the government has more of an incentive to go after something, and I feel like they would have more of an incentive to go after private companies because they inherently are able to hide stuff more or not, be more forthcoming just by the nature of being private. So if they got them, they're like, oh, we got you. We saw that plane and the.
Haha, we got you. Look there's a door.
Yeah. That wasn't our plane. You can't even tell what kind of plane it was, could you?
That was just a mirage.
Has anybody actually confirmed that the door that fell off wasn't made out of Lego?
See?
Callback. The Lego.
I think maybe Boeing's stealing the Legos. You heard it here first, folks.
Probably would have stayed on better if it was Lego.
True.
What a terrifying flight. You're like, oh, it's got a little bit of turbulence. Oh, the door's gone. Okay, that's what it is. I can't hear the movie. Can you shut that door?
Kind of gives new definition of the term damage control.
Yeah. Right. Now it's like really the question of like, do you want to sit in this row? It's like, I don't think so. I think I'll just sit away from the door.
I'm good by the bathroom.
Yeah. I'll just be there.
Now, you mentioned the markets, and I'm a simpleton when it comes to the markets. Terms like Dow Jones, Nasdaq, S&P 500. What are the differences between these?
They're all indexes that are trying to track the market as a whole, because there's two kinds of a risk when you invest in a stock or in the market. Is the one's called systematic risk and one's unsystematic. And one is like the tide pod lifts all boats. It's it's where the whole market when the whole market is going up, like for the economy, there's a tendency for all companies to get a boost, and that's like systematic risk up and down. And there's unsystematic risk, which is like company specific or even sector specific. That's like it doesn't matter if the whole economy goes up if you're crashing planes. If planes are crashing, so it's like, oh, everything's going great, but this company, it's like, obviously we're not going to reward them. We got to get out of that stock. So the systematic risk one that tracks the whole market, that's what these indexes are trying to tell everybody every day, like, and how it's going overall. Like the Dow, and they have different ways of looking at it. The Dow Jones is 30 like big bellwether type of companies, all the big Procter & Gamble and Coca-Cola and those kind of companies. And that has a certain, strong correlation with that systematic risk that, up and down. If it goes up or down a certain amount, you can expect the whole thing to kind of do that. And then the other ones are similar, but they take a different approach. Like the NASDAQ is all the companies listed on the NASDAQ, which is a digital market. There's no like physical location. So it's like sort of more of a technology centric type of bellwether or like an indices for that. So it's doing the same thing in the sense that like all these companies are being averaged, and then there are collective performance that day is what ends up being the difference, like if it goes up or down. So it's tracking like all of these companies in one index, which is NASDAQ. And then S&P 500 is so the Dow Jones is like 30 the biggest, and then S&P 500 has a broader range of companies. It's like it's 500 biggest, and it's like a value based one. So it's like it's more I don't know, diluted in the sense that like it's not as affected as the Dow is for one or two or three, stocks, but the Dow long term seems to be like a better metric of like the overall economy, because like when there's 30 huge companies, do well, everybody seems to do well, and probably in the future that's probably going to be the Dow 4 or something, and so we get all our food and water and love from. So
That's terrifying.
I know
The S&P 500 is not a NASCAR race. 'Cause I always I swore it was.
That's funny.
What am I thinking of? No,
Indy 500.
we are learning things tonight.
Mhm.
now we're all trying to think of what S&P stands for in that race.
It's Standard and Poor, right?
Yeah, standard.
Look
and
at you,
and
Clem.
poor. Standard and poorer.
You don't have to like be one of those traders too, watching the market all the time.
Yeah.
If you're having your money just sit in S&P, you can say overall, like let's say you had it in there 5 years, you don't need it. You're gonna earn compound interest at quite a high yield. So I mean, those are for like the non-risk takers. But I'm just saying, like if y'all have money sitting around, throw it in there, set up an account.
Is this your business, JP? You're like, hey guys, just send me some money.
Now, Gilbert, in your experience, we see a lot of hype in social media, the news, and all that. Do you think that stock success is determined by financial analysis or the hype and rumors about a company?
Well, we learned from what I can't even think of the GameStop, that it's just all rumors. That's what drives everything. I mean, it's both really. I mean, if you're talking about short term versus long term, I mean, if there's a rumor or information that is being passed around about a company, then that has an effect on its earnings in the future, then that's going to affect it that day or that week or that month. But ultimately, like, it should have regressed back to like what reality is. So those are, that's not a good belt. That's not a good metric of like a good company. But if you're talking about a stock, then yeah, a rumor or inside information or whatever could like definitely affect its value. Whether it's something that comes to fruition or not is a different story.
I just want to say, so JP brought this up. He brought up gambling. I just want to put that out there right now. He brought up gambling, but like literally, okay, so say like I have $500, I buy some stocks on the NASDAQ and I make, like, what is the difference between playing the stock market and gambling? Like, there seems to be literally none.
Different risk reward.
But one is very legal and encouraged and is the bedrock of our economy.
I don't know. Is the stock market encouraged? I don't know. I think that yeah, because I think with the stock market, you're at least kind of putting money towards companies you believe in, whereas the casino, the house basically just wins.
Now, we talked about, investing in the stock market and investing in businesses, but from an investing standpoint, Gilbert, why do you think the average person tries to trade stocks themselves? Or do you think that the person who tries to trade by themselves loses money?
Yeah, I mean, unless they know what they're doing, which is like not most people in general, because it's like what most people, when they lose money trading it for themselves, it's because they have that mentality we were just talking about. It's like where it is a gambling thing, where it's like that systematic versus unsystematic risk I was talking about. If that makes any sense, I don't know.
Yeah, so diversify our money, take half of it, put it in the dog track, the other half in the horse track, and then whatever we have left, throw that on red on the craps table.
Yeah, I mean, technically, that's diversifying gambling. So that is diversified gambling. But
Now, before we wrap up our discussion with Gilbert, besides working in finance, you are the founder and co-producer of Red Clay Comedy Festival in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. How'd that get started?
It's our 9th year. It's next month. It just started 9 years ago. How about that? Every year. It's it's something that I started with this comedian friend of mine, Mike Albanese, in Atlanta before we moved to New York, and then moved back. It's really fun. It's all in one area of Atlanta, East Atlanta Village. It's like 50 comics from all over the country. We've had several great headliners. We've had Eric Andre, Maria Bamford, Janine Garofalo, Rory Scovel. This year we have him back, and Kyle Kinane, Nikki Glazer. We've had a lot of great comics. So we have like a set of headliners, and then we have like 40 comics we pick from submissions. And it's a real headache, and it's a real money-losing venture. And it also has the added benefit of me making enemies more than I make friends.
But going back to the very first question that Bill asked me was my understanding of what do you think of a successful company or business? What comes to mind? So I guess what I'm asking you, Gilbert, is you lose money, you make enemies, and you seem stressful. Why? What's the incentive there?
That's a very good question, and I've got a good answer. I think some of you will identify with. You know that guy inside, the person inside of you that hates you. It feeds him.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Well, Gilbert, I want to thank you for being a guest on our podcast.
Thank you.
You were full of information. I'm sure we all learned something. And we're going to throw it out to our panelists. Your big takeaways from today's episode before we get to our new feature in a moment.
I think my big takeaway is always bet on Boeing.
Yeah, we talked about racing a lot here tonight with the S&P 500 and horse racing and dog racing and everything. And every week I come into this episode, I'm like, yeah, we're not going to get off the rails into the illegal stuff. And there we went. So, we're keeping with tradition. This is episode 4. And, so far 4 for 4. And we were demonetized like 13 times tonight. So
yeah,
hopefully some editing will take care of that.
Yeah, I guess my big takeaway is entrepreneurship is risky, businesses are difficult, and I think we should all become just blue collar robots, just feeding the system, because then we can all live a peaceful, non-stress lifestyle and not worry about having to succeed and have that expectation of success.
I mean, we kind of are blue collar. Comics are definitely blue collar workers.
I think we're chasing the dragon. We're blue collar, but with like this deep desire, fulfillment of having our art form and voice be heard and loved and cherished. But then we still do the grind to just like feed that insatiable desire we have.
I think it's called childhood. That's childhood trauma.
I don't think we're blue collar in comedy. I have a day job where I do work blue collar, and I go to comedy to get away from my blue collar job.
Okay,
so please don't bring blue collar into my nightlife. I will lose it. But also my blue collar job, I actually fix automation systems. So I repair robots for a living. My job is set for a little while till they learn to fix themselves. You're
part of the problem, Clem. You're part of the problem.
I am, and I'm going to survive longer than all of y'all.
Well, the real question is what is a higher status, blue collar or comedy? Which one is above the other? Is the real question.
Art and doing what you love is above them all.
That's right.
But not financially at all. Not financial. Financially.
No. Unless, of course, we start another NASCAR race, and I don't know, maybe with Clem, we try to steer it on the straight and narrow, but I don't know. I'm thinking the Felony 500. Another.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like it.
But we do have a new feature to close out our program, and this is going to be called the Financial Fast 5. And this each week we will ask a different panelist 5 random financial questions, and we will keep score. Of course I will. I have a pen. We will keep score. So our first panelist in the hot seat this week is Tara Jean O'Brien. And Tara, I think you got these.
Okay, I'm confident.
All right.
That I'm scared.
We should put some side bets on this.
Yeah.
Bet on this, JP,
right? Invest in this here. Okay. All right. Question number 1. When it comes to accounting, what does CPA stand for?
Certified Public Accountant.
Point.
I got it. Yeah, look at that.
You got it.
I know a thing.
Question number 2.
Okay.
If you sell a stock for more than you bought it for, it is referred to as capital what?
Gains.
Oh, she's on fire. All right.
Give me that stock, baby.
All right. Number 3. At what age can you take a distribution for an IRA without having to pay a 10% penalty?
Ooh. Is it 62? 65?
59 and a half.
Really? Is that really the answer? 59 and a half? That's that sounds like a mean test question. 59 and a half.
And a half, yeah.
Somebody
no,
did
sorry,
the
I
math.
can't yet.
That's something. Who came up with that rule? A 10-year-old? Oh, I'm 9 and a half next month.
Do 10-year-olds know fractions yet? Maybe. Yeah, it might have been a 10-year-old.
Remember, I teach third grade. Yes, 8-year-olds know fractions.
Yeah, they know when they're half an age. I used to be 7 and a half.
Yeah. All right, number 4. Who is on the $2 bill?
Oh, God. That's a good question. I mean, I got nothing. I don't know.
Thomas Jefferson.
Oh, Jefferson. You're only worthy of the $2.
Number 5. What actor played Dr. Noah Drake on General Hospital?
Oh, no, I don't know that. Damn it, Bill.
Oh, no.
I feel bad. I don't know. I don't know all their character names.
You were on this show, weren't you?
Yeah, but I don't know.
Bill put Tara on blast.
I don't know.
Right. I will give you a hint.
Okay, what?
Okay, this guy was coveting his best friend's girl.
That doesn't narrow it down, Bill. Like, this is a soap opera.
In
Bill
music
a General Hospital fan or something?
In music form when he wasn't on the screen.
I don't know. I feel terrible. I really don't know. That doesn't even help.
I wish that I had... That's the lyric of the song.
It's Willie Nelson, right?
No!
Willie Nelson?
Wish that I had Jesse's girl.
Oh.
Rick Springfield?
Rick Springfield.
Oh, I
yes.
did not know that. That's
no, but that really
amazing.
wasn't. That actually wasn't your question number 5. Here is
I was like, but now you make me. Oh, Bill, how dare you? How dare you put me on blast like that?
Here is your real number 5.
Oh God.
What is the largest stock exchange in the world by market capitalization?
Hold on, I'm trying to look at JP. I don't know.
He's like, giving sign language.
Okay.
Does Gilbert know?
Gilbert's got to know.
New York Stock Exchange?
There we go. New York Stock Exchange. Yeah.
This is why I don't do money. This is why I would start a prison. I don't know. I don't know anything.
Well, you know what? I might give you a bonus point for the Rick Springfield. So you did get 3 points.
Okay, I'll take it.
Out of technically 6 questions. So.
Okay. 59 and a half is a dumb answer. That's a stupid rule.
I agree. And I would have gotten, in your all fairness, Tara, I would have gotten the first one wrong. I would have said the words. I would have said like certified public assistant or something like that.
I'm ahead, right? So far I'm ahead.
Of course.
You have the highest score among all of our panelists.
High score.
Yeah, beat her high score. Yes. So we'll see what happens next week.
Yeah, next week, if you pick me, I'm going to make sure I have all of my resources at hand.
You're going to be good. Oh, no. There's no cheating.
Of course. I'm the honor system. I'm not that. There's no honor in like cheating. But there is in winning.
I wish that I was Jesse's girl. That's my closing thought.
All right, Clem, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, it's been a good episode. I learned a lot. I probably shouldn't have learned some of those things, but I did learn a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Tide Pod Tour.
I heard tales of Tide Pods, those colorful delights. But what if they sponsored the lighter side of finance? A podcast that educates with comedic flair, mixing money and laughter for all to share. Oh, Tide Pods and the lighter side of finance.
This has been the Lighter Side of Finance podcast. Our executive producer is Billy C. Production assistance by Sam Moody. Our opening music is from BillClantonMusic.com. I'm your AI announcer. I am nobody, literally. Make sure you like and subscribe to The Lighter Side of Finance wherever you find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Be sure to visit our website, thelightersideoffinance.com. This podcast is not financial advice. It is for entertainment purposes only. It is intended for you to laugh your assets off. Viewers and listeners be advised.